This podcast is a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to find out more.
Show your move. Good news, everyone.
Welcome to 20th Century Boy. My name is Radio Mike.
And my name is Producer Pat.
And this is the inside of our
minds.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final wrap-up episode of 20th Century Boy for the year. I am joined today. I thought it was fitting to have Patrick DeGilio. Is it DeGilio or DeGilio?
DeGilio. I'm used to everyone saying DeGilio because it looks like it's spelled that way. But
It's
don't
like
care.
the GIF thing.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. It's just say whatever.
Producer Pat is going to join the episode with me today. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And the reason for that is I wanted people to get to hear Pat on the show properly because, you know, if you listen to the show regularly, you will know that Pat has been we'll get into more of it later, but Pat has been producing the show all year, making all the TikTok clips and etc. And he's done such a good job. More on that later, but I just wanted to invite you on. So that's how are you? How are you, Pat?
Yeah, pretty good. How was yours 2021? Mine was about the same as everyone else's.
Yeah, so this episode's going to be like just a wrap up for the year. Might be a bit shorter just because we were originally going to do, the last ep was going to be the one on the 22nd of December, but this one will come out on the 29th, just as a little end of year special for all of you guys at home. Episode 47 of season 3, which has been an awesome year for the podcast. And as always, I will put it out there. If you hear Pat on this and you like Pat, you can hear Pat over on the Patreon. What is it, Pat?
What the
Patreon link? Patreon.
I don't remember.
Patreon.com/Radio Mike. For as little as
$1 a month.
you can get access to
Shit.
the bonus podcast where me and Pat just talk a bit of shit, and sometimes the mics join us as well. So yeah, thought I'd get Pat on for a bit of cross promo for the Patreon as well. So please, end of the year, if you come into any cash from your grandma over Christmas, maybe give $1 of that to us. And
No, not $1. Just send it all here.
send it all here. I'll give it to Pat.
You've been getting free content for like almost 3 years now. We deserve it.
See, Pat, I can't say that to the listeners,
Yeah, but
you
I can.
So
I can.
you
We
give-
deserve-
You give a push for the Patreon.
We deserve your
listeners.
hard-earned money, so give it to us.
So, yeah, as little as $1 a month, that's $12 a year. I always say that's 3 coffees a year. You can give to me. Basically, a lot of that goes to pay Pat to do all the fantastic work that Pat does. And maybe just, Pat, just so the listeners know, what kind of stuff do you do for the show week to week?
Basically, as you said, I do the TikTok clips every week. I do the thumbnails for the YouTube videos and the podcast for the podcast feeds on like Spotify, iTunes, whatever.
So those are like the thumbnails are like the promotional images.
Yeah, they're like the graphics.
Yeah, I used to do them, but then I thought like I was basically at the end of last year. I really wanted to keep the momentum going on TCB, and we had been doing a bunch of clips on Insta. We didn't really have a TikTok presence at all, but I wanted to grow that and start it because that seemed to be a good way to grow profile and stuff. But the clips were taking so much of my time as it was, so I knew I wouldn't have time, and so were the thumbnails. So I just wanted to kind of basically get someone on board to start helping me do like stuff for the show and creative stuff for the show. And Pat was always, just as a listener, Pat was always contributing to the show.
Yeah.
Like really good stuff. And I just said, hey, do you want to do a bunch of work for the show? And basically, I think from January, you were heading to the show from there.
Yeah, January 10th or 11th, I believe, was my first day.
Yeah.
And it's great because you were saying, like, because I was a listener. It's so funny because this was like the show that I was like the most kept up with.
Oh, cool.
And now it's weird. It's like I work on the show now and like I listen to it early because I have to do clips and stuff. And it's like, it's not like it's ruined the show, but it's like.
I know what you mean because
Yeah.
like for Hamish and Andy, I can't enjoy it as a fan anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can't enjoy it without being anxious that we've fucked something up or that
Yeah.
like, you know, just I've heard it all already.
Yeah.
I'm only listening to it to make sure that everything's in the right order and everything's fine. And like, yeah, it turns like something you love into into a job, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like no regrets. But like, yeah, I do definitely miss those days where I could just listen to Hamish and Andy as it came out.
Yeah.
Like a fan. But yeah, so Pat has done a phenomenal job this year. We've grown so much. Like plans out the whole week of clips. Like I couldn't do it without you, which is why I wanted to like publicly thank you on the show.
No, thank you,
today.
man.
It's just been awesome. And again, like all the money we raise through Patreon or paypal.me/itsradiomike, all the YouTube revenue, a lot of that's just going to paying Pat to keep working. Because like, I mean, I'm assuming you wouldn't do it for free if I asked you.
Look, I mean, when I had absolutely nothing going for myself a few years ago, no, that's a stretch. No.
Pat actually used to work at, oh no, we won't say that. We won't say that. Sorry, I won't cut that out. Everyone can just wonder what I was going to say.
Yeah, DM me and I won't tell you what it is.
But yeah, it's actually been awesome having Pat, and like, you know, I've got a few people sometimes DM me and they're like, hey man, do you have any work? Like I'm fine to work for free and stuff, but I don't like making people work for free. Like I just don't like it. And like, yeah, so basically all the money comes in like to giving Pat work to do, and he does it so well. The TikToks have grown so much. And
oh, hang on. Sorry, not to stop you there. That's a lie. One time, way before I worked for you, do you remember I made a thumbnail for like season 1? Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
I do remember that. Yeah.
And like,
but I didn't ask you
no,
to.
you didn't. I was going to say, he didn't ask for it. I just like, I did it like without warning, without asking. I was just like, oh, hey man, I noticed you needed a thumbnail, so I'm just doing it for you.
Yeah.
Here you go. You can use it if you want. But then he surprisingly used it.
Yeah. Well, and also like the thumbnails for the podcast that I post on Instagram as well, and they're on Spotify, but they're always done so well. And even Pat has like creatively made them his own as well. He does a way better job at them than I did.
Oh, stop it.
The YouTube thumbnails are awesome, because that's what I originally got you doing, the YouTube thumbnails for the videos. And now it seems there's a decent audience on YouTube. Like every week there seems like a solid YouTube audience, and thanks for that, everybody. So
hello everyone.
That's been awesome as well, and Pat looks after all of that. So do you want to talk? We do have one thing we have to get to, but otherwise this is going to be a bit more of a free flowing app.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk? Do you have any like standout moments from the show in 2021? Like wrapping up, looking back, any funny moments?
Like my favorite moments of the show. I think Nug 100 was definitely a big. That was a big thing. That was probably one of my favorite things. Like that was so fun and like hilarious to come down and shoot.
Yeah, so I tried to eat 100 nuggets. That was at my old place in Northcote.
Yeah.
And it was the whole ordeal was really funny, but I only got, I think I got 52.
54?
54,
I think it
yeah.
was 54,
so got over 50%.
Still
which
like
is
a
pass.
great effort.
Yeah, but you just get to a point where you can't keep eating. You know, after that, because I was posting it all on my stories. I might have talked about this, but I was posting it all on my stories, and you know, like Hamish and Andy have done heaps of eating challenges.
Yeah.
And Hamish must have seen it on my story, and he just called me and he was like, I was like, hello. And he's like, how you feeling? And I was like, not good. And then he just went, let me guess, you got to like 40 and then you stopped. I'm like, yeah, 54. And he was like, oh, that's good. But yeah, it gets to a point where you just can't keep doing it.
Yeah.
So like, and that's what I reached. I was like, it got to a point where opening my mouth triggered a response in my stomach, because my stomach, it was like my brain was like, no, don't do this.
Yeah.
We don't have the capacity for any more food. That was a lot of fun. I love that.
No, that was great. Also the grilled saga this year, like not just for the a lot of the TikToks, that's how we got the interaction with grilled, but like just the fact that like, I'll let you explain it better, but like the fact that it started as like a little quip, like, oh, this thing pisses me off about grilled.
No,
and then
it wasn't a little quip. It started as me essentially saying that I fucking hate grilled, to which like the social media girl, her name is Brooke.
Shout out to Brooke.
She seems really nice, but the social media girl from Grilled found it and like started throwing spars back at me, going back and forth, and then go on.
But yeah, and just the fact that like we went from like basically us essentially like cyberbullying a company.
You can't cyberbully a company.
Oh, true. So like freely, without precaution or any repercussions, just freely attacking them. But no, and then to the point where like, you know, they've communicated with us. We've done work with them now, and they sponsored your 27th birthday.
Sponsored my birthday weekend, which was awesome.
25th.
25th birthday. Yeah. I agree. Grilled, and I realized, because I was trying to think of where the grilled thing came from. It actually came off the back of Nug 100.
Oh, you reckon?
Because I was talking about all the fast food chains, and that's when I brought up grilled. That's how it came. So it's interesting how I never realized it at the time, because sometimes I just think of stupid segments we're doing, and I'm like, where did this even come from? Because like, you know, there was this movie that I think you'd like, which ended up
great.
That was a really good part of this year. We might have to bring that back next year a bit.
Maybe we'll do it at the end of the episode.
Yeah, let's leave a cliffhanger. But I still want to get Vance Joy on the show to actually do a live one.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah.
So
yeah, sure. I mean, this is the bright forum for it.
So like maybe a month or two ago, I was out in Brunswick and I just hopped off the train and I saw this dude walking, tall. He had curly hair. He had a mask on.
It was Vance Joy. You gave it away.
Hang on.
It's so obvious who it was.
Let me finish.
Okay.
And yeah, he had a guitar strap on his back. And I said to my partner, oh, babe, do you reckon that's Vance Joy? And then she went on. She said, nah, he's touring in like Budapest or something. So I thought for a second, that's Vance Joy. I'll go to him, hey, my boss wants to do something with you.
I guess if you ever see, to the listeners, you ever see Vance Joy, if you're face to face with him in some way, like,
you know Vance Joy, can you send him our TikTok? Like,
send him that, but also just go up to him and go, there's this movie that I think, and make one up and just see what he does. Because he'll probably laugh. Like, it's pretty funny.
God.
But yeah, I mean, I know like Andy Lee is good mates with Vance Joy. So I reckon.
Share it, Andy.
Not that I would like be like to Andy, hey, get Vance, but like I think that if I was like to the publicist, hey, like I work for Hamish and Andy.
Surely.
And then I could be like, hey, Andy, can you like, I probably wouldn't do that. But like then just the connection and the fact that we got nearly 100K on that TikTok.
That is true. There is one other way we can do it. We can make this clip into a TikTok. We can make this clip into a TikTok and we'll pressure Andy to make that connection for us.
No, I don't want to pressure Andy.
No, we'll do it. Everyone DM Andy.
We might do it, but
don't
let's both say, Vance Joy, come on the podcast now. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Vance Joy,
come on the pod.
Vance Joy, come on the podcast.
On the podcast. We need you so
Please
bad.
come on the podcast.
Please come.
We've got a game for you that we think is perfect.
We think you'd like.
So that was a really good one, but then that actually is what led into Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium with Shooter, right? So like all the content just flows from each other. And then I don't know if you heard last week's ep, but in Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium, completely randomly, Kermit the Frog makes a cameo.
I know. How good is that?
Just shopping. Me and Shooter, have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it when I was a kid.
Well, me and Shooter were just sitting there and we were like, what? Because obviously Kermit's been a huge part of the podcast as well.
Yeah, true.
Sean Kingston was a curveball. That didn't come from anywhere. I just remembered the song.
That was just a shit meme. That was my God.
I still want Sean Kingston to be a thing in the
Me too. I think the end goal is to like interview him on Zoom or something. Like if he has like a new single or a new album out, we'll do some like
we've got to do something with Sean Kingston. But
maybe we'll have to do some Amy Shark style like marketing.
And I think Shooter's become part of like the roster of listeners who have made their mark on the show. So, actually, Nacho Cheese was supposed to have a big finish for the show, but he hasn't sent it, so it might have to be the first thing for 2022.
Yes.
That's episode 1 of 2022, because Nacho, we're recording it. It's not here.
Yeah, where is it, mate?
If he sends it tomorrow, I will insert it here, but if he doesn't, first ep of 2022, because I'm editing this tomorrow, then I'm not touching it.
Yeah, easy.
Yep, so that's your fault. Yeah. Your fault, Nacho. But yeah, so there's Shooter, there's Nacho Cheese, Disappointment Judman.
Oh, the Judman saga.
Questionable Father. Have there been any other? And then Cyber Sleuth George went in with Questionable Father because she sprung him.
She had a bit of a short sting on the show, but like a great impact.
Made her mark. And then T Money kind of fits in there.
T Money.
He's been a good.
Oh my God, what a character!
Good listener, yeah. But yeah, it's been really fun.
Yeah.
One thing we do have to do, which has been a build up all year. You're not actually part of this, but one thing.
I'll hype it up though.
One thing we do have to do is we've been crossing off a lot of goals of the show for the year. Admittedly, we haven't done all of them, right? I'm going to be the first to admit, haven't completed the Pilkey bibliography.
No.
Might do it next year. Who knows? If there doesn't seem to be a demand for it, no one's in my DMs being like, Mike, what happens in Captain Underpants and the Tyrannical Return of the Turbo Toilet 2000? No one's doing that, right? If I get a few of those messages, maybe then we'll know it's important for us to finish all the Pilkey books, right?
So essentially, you want your fans to cyberbully you into reading Captain Underpants.
Yes. And then I want Dav Pilkey to sponsor my 28th birthday and have a Captain Underpants themed birthday.
And have a Captain Underpants grilled burger.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And then go to the abandoned Wonderland Park in Sydney. Could happen.
yeah.
I'll be in Sydney a couple times next year. So people in Sydney, you could win the podcast. As well as that.
Oh, sorry, don't do it. The whole winning the podcast gag is another great thing.
Great
Did that
gag.
come from this year?
Nah, I was doing that in 2020.
Oh, you were.
It was
I
because
remember
it
now.
started in lockdown, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely, that is always active. I used to bring it up every app. Now I don't necessarily bring it up every
Yeah.
app, but it is still active all the time. So when I was recently in Sydney, Radio Katia, welcome to the radio family. Let's just play. Yep. She messaged me being like, oh, I might win the podcast now because she lives in Sydney. So, you know, that is always an active game. And so, yeah, so now you've interrupted me. I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm
What
sorry.
was I saying? Oh, the goals of the show.
Yeah, goals show.
We did last week finally watch Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium with Shooter. That was good. Getting Vance Joy on, that's a goal. Haven't done it. We did watch The Dream Factory,
The Dream Factory.
which is a gag that's gone by the wayside a bit.
Yeah.
Not much dream factorying going on.
bit quiet now, although the Kermit meme that came from that was birthed out of a meme. So
Did
a
the
meme,
Kermit meme come from that?
Yeah, because during
Did
yeah,
not remember
because the pondering like Kermit thing, for those who if you were in the Zoom where we watched the Dream Factory, Mike just we all
So
got
wait, we need a rewind. So basically I was trying to make a movement where instead of saying I'm going to sleep, you say I'm going to the Dream Factory. Cause like I was dating a girl and I used to always say to her, hey, I'm just going to go to the Dream Factory, and she was just like, stop calling it the Dream Factory, which is just going to sleep. It's where they make dreams, right? And then I think I found out that there's a Chinese movie made in 1997 called The Dream Factory, and I thought, let's have a watch party. And Whitey traveled to China, definitely didn't pirate it. He went to get it, and then he did a screening on Zoom. There was probably like 20 of us on Zoom.
Oh, easily.
And then we just all watched it, and it was a terrible movie that had blackface in it.
Really bad movie.
Blackface and tomato or something like that.
I don't know. The only thing that really stood out was the whole fat brother gag.
Fat brother, yeah. And then, so what was happening on the Zoom call?
And then I think you had your keyboard or you had something out and like you just started like doing the chords to Rainbow Connection and you started going like, why are there so many? I think it just started with you genuinely singing it. And then you said like rainbows are, and then you were trying to rhyme rainbow with stuff.
Yeah.
And then you just started asking questions like,
Then
Kermit.
everybody started just going like, asking questions like, why are there so many Kermit impressions in this Zoom call?
Yeah, that's right.
And like everyone was doing it, became a meme. That's why I started that segment, Pondering Like Kermit, which lasted a few episodes. Not one of the best segments of the show.
Maybe we need to bring it back. Maybe
Yeah.
let's make a back catalogue. Everyone call up 1-800-438-353 and leave us some Kermit Ponders. We'll do a fresh batch at the start of the year.
Yeah, leave some. Yeah, I'd love that actually.
Yeah.
Please give the number a call. Let's play the jingle here.
If you've got a contribution to the podcast, there's only one number you see. Call 1-800-438-353.
The reason I'm playing that is because Scooter. There's Shooter and Scooter. Scooter and Radio Alex Sky. Welcome to the RF.
Welcome both.
They teased in the Discord, which everyone's welcome to join, by the way, that there may or may not be a new theme coming, a new 1-800 jingle coming. So we can look forward to that. And as well as that, okay, so that one of the goals that we have done, well, I've done, which came out really well, obviously earlier in the year, and I think this is a good one to end the year with. Earlier in the year, I bumped into friend of the show, Sammy Garlep, comedian Sammy Garlep, at the radio station we work out of in South Melbourne. And we were out the front of a street pasta store. And I said to him, hey, it was like 7 o'clock. I'm like, hey, let's catch up. Let's get pasta. He said no, with no explanation. Just refused to catch up with me. So then I made it a goal of the show that at some point in 2021, I would get pasta with Sam Garlep. Pat, I'd like to inform you that I think it was the 6th or the 7th of December 2021, so a few weeks ago now, Sam Garlep and I did get pasta in South Melbourne.
No.
Here's how it went. Hey guys, Mike here, the guy from the podcast. It's time for me to finally walk you through my journey getting a pasta with Sam after 8 long months. Just finished up work for the day, jumping in the car, about to drive down to the pasta shop, the fated pasta shop where Sam never got pasta with me all those months ago. And honestly, I'm looking forward to some pasta. It's been a long day. I could smash a good amount of pasta. Things were really looking good for me and Sam's friendship, but as I parked nearby the pasta shop, I received this disappointing text. Have received a text message from Sammy informing me that he's going to be a touch late. No details on how late a touch is. You know, I gotta say, this has been in the works for months, nearly a whole year, this meetup, and disappointing start. We did agree to meet at 6 p.m. It's now 6 past 6. No sign of Sam, nor is there any update on time of arrival, ETA. So I'm just kind of pacing around the streets at the moment. Really looking forward to this pasta that we've spent, half a year trying to tee up though. So hopefully I'm not being ghosted by Sam. And after 10 to 12 long minutes of waiting, I finally spotted my friend Sam waiting for me outside Eto Pasta. Not sponsored. Good news is I have spotted Sam. He has arrived. 7 minutes late. I'll just put the phone down to greet him. Sam, how are you? Really looking forward to our pasta.
Well, I made it. I'm here.
So glad we could tee this up.
I could see as I was reverse parallel parking. I could see you standing talking to your phone like a creep, and I thought. And then you ran, and then you disappeared when I got you. But
did you drive all the way from home for this?
Yeah.
Oh, why?
I don't know.
Well,
and I'm going into the radio station tomorrow, but now we're doing this today. I'm like, fuck.
Well, you could have told me.
Nah.
Well,
we don't chat.
Hey,
no,
I'm gonna surprise you.
What?
I'm shouting pasta tonight. It's a free dinner.
Are you joking?
Yeah, because we finally teed this up. Come on, let's enter the store. And that's the great thing about me, Radio Mike, the guy from the podcast. When I ask you to get a pasta, I'm paying because I love all of my friends a lot. Also because it makes me look like a really good guy. So just pick your pasta, order it.
There you go.
All expenses paid by this guy.
For audio listeners, who are you pointing at?
Oh, me. There's not like a third guy standing here who's like super rich.
Can I just say, I actually assumed you were going to pay.
Ah, so it's not really a surprise.
I mean,
it's a confirmation.
It's almost a surprise that you thought I was going to come here and pay myself.
Once we ordered the food, I realized I didn't record a really funny joke that I made as Sam ordered. So, as we sat down to wait for our food, I decided to recreate the joke in real time. Okay, so we did order.
Yes.
And I want to try and recreate a bit of magic here because I think the best call of the night so far was not on record. So what did you order, Sam?
I blacked out for a bit, but I think I ordered a spicy Italian sausage.
Yeah. And after Sam ordered the spicy Italian sausage, I looked at him and I said, I'm Italian.
And the whole pasta bar just went up. No, they didn't. They actually asked to see our vaccination certificate.
Then I think I've got number 2 of the day when the guy said, can we see your vaccination certificates? And I said, why would you want to see that?
You should also say that you asked if we could have it for free.
I did. I started the order by saying, do you guys do free pasta?
Which seemed like a joke until Mike's card declined.
And as it so often happens in restaurants, the food that we ordered arrived. And after a great meal, 100 or possibly 1 billion laughs, and a lot of unusable audio because of restaurant background noise, we decided to leave the restaurant and go for a quick walk to continue catching up. And hopefully have some salvageable audio that we could use. Because obviously this is a podcast, so we need audio to listen to. Anyway.
But I'm not sure about you, Mike, but I am in a massive pasta coma.
Yeah, I'm definitely very full. I've noticed we're going for a quick walk now. I've noticed you've brought a notepad. What's going on with that?
I always in my diary, which I told you I had to write down that we were doing this dinner.
Yes.
Got a diary, got a notepad, just keeps me humble.
Wow, I was really struggling to make conversation and small talk with Sam. So, I remembered one of the only things we have in common and decided to bring it up. You went to school with my brother.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Should we call him?
No.
All right. Wait, if we just called my brother, what would you say to him?
I'd say, Dan the man. What's up? Thanks for coming to my comedy festival show in 2019. Noticed you didn't come again in 2021. So maybe you didn't like it.
When you were at school with my brother, would you ever have thought you'd be getting pasta with me tonight?
They do make you do that now. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And weirdly enough, and this is my notebook from year 12, and it says, what do you yourself in 10 years? Eating some cheap pasta from with Daniel Liberale's brother, Michael Liberale.
Well, hey, you're one to talk calling it cheap. I bloody paid for the whole thing.
It was actually it was above $50.
It's $55 on the business card. I'll claim it on tax. Well, that gave us a few laughs and kept us talking for a couple more minutes. But I then had to bring the topic back to the podcast and ask Sam this question, which he had a fantastic answer for. What do you reckon your favourite parts of the podcast this year have been?
Well, mostly the parts of when I'm on. Yeah, and there's been times I've just been mentioned when I'm not even on, which I love. I love to be mentioned.
Yep. Favourite storyline?
Of the 20th Century Boy or of
20th century, not of life, just 20th Century Boy podcast.
I only listen very sporadically.
I reckon next year we should do the Sam and my brother reunion.
Does Dan listen to this podcast?
I don't think so.
Let's not.
After bringing up my brother and Sam's connection a couple more times, we decided to end the day. And finally, after months of waiting, I had my long-awaited pasta catch-up with my friend, Sammy Garlep. All right, guys, it's 7:17. We've had a great run. We went for a walk. Sam, I've got one question for you. Was that so fucking hard? This is what friends do when they see each other. They catch up.
There were some times I thought, I'm regretting this. A bit of regretty spaghetti, as you might...
in a pasta base.
Yeah. But, Mike, it was all right.
That was fun.
No,
and we actually...
great.
We did talk about maybe doing this again sometime.
Did we?
Just then, I was like, we should hang out again.
Oh, I don't mean get pasta again. And I was scared the whole time because it was right near the radio station. I didn't want to... I was like... We were sitting right in the window. I didn't want people from the radio station looking in and go, do Mike and Sam come here on their days off and eat pasta?
You know what I find funny about it? We advertised the exact date and place we were meeting on the podcast. No one came to see, get a celeb spot, get some photos.
No one even looked our way. Yeah,
not a single listener of this show was like, I might just show up and say hi to make sure they're doing it.
Unless the guys in the pasta place did know us, but they didn't look like they loved you. They looked like they really hated it.
I think when I ordered and then inquired about free pasta, that put them off.
They really put them, and we took a long time ordering. There were people behind us. Anyway, the anxiety was through the roof.
Next time we won't get pasta, we'll get something else.
I think, can we do that?
Yeah. See you, mate.
I'll wait till
put it there.
Whatever you organise next, I'll deny.
And then we'll do it. Probably a year from now, we'll do something else.
So, okay, see you in a year.
All right, see you, mate.
See you, mate.
Wow. After the crazy year that 2021 was, I'm glad that I ended the year with a fantastic catch-up over pasta with my friend. goodbye. But this isn't the end of the podcast. I'll be back on the podcast, but goodbye for this pre-packaged segment of the... Anyway, you guys get it. Back to the podcast. The end of this segment, but not the podcast. The end. There you go. That was my pasta with Sammy. As you can hear, went really well. Ran out of conversation topics, but would definitely meet up with him again. Was super fun. Good to cross off another goal of the podcast. Obviously, this year we had a couple more mic talks. Sometimes hard with my schedule to be doing mic talks weekly, but we did have a few with Jackie Hutton popped in. And more recently, Alex Moses from the band Columbus, the punk band Columbus, came in. I noticed a few people saying they've been listening to Columbus and enjoying it. So that's awesome.
So Alex owes us, basically.
He owes us, yeah.
Big time.
I've made a playlist on Spotify of just mic talks because they're in the they're all in like the 20th Century Boy feed. So I'll put that link in the description to pods from now on if you just want to binge the mic talks, because there's heaps of good ones with like Shelton, there's a few with Jack, there's Luke came on one, Luke and Lewis came on as well, Ruben Solo came on one, Alice Tovey, Jackie was great, Broden Kelly, there's been heaps of really cool guests on that, so that's been awesome. But let's talk 2022. The podcast will return. Sorry guys, I guess everyone probably assumed it was coming back, but just in case you were like, I wonder if the podcast is coming back, it is.
Season 4 is happening.
The grand reveal, we've been renewed for another season. Luckily, I'm the CEO, so I get to choose if we renew our only show.
He's renewing himself, basically.
Yeah, so the show will be back in 2022, probably mid-Jan. Pat, I assume you're coming back. I haven't asked you about it, but I assume you're coming back.
Well, actually, it's probably good timing I mentioned this, Mike, but in 2022, I, producer Pat, will be coming back for the show! Oh!
It's the surprise of the century. There you go. He's back. That's awesome. So I think we're definitely going to keep doing, clips from the show. They do really well. We occasionally get one going super viral. The rest just kind of float. YouTube vids obviously still going up, like the YouTube episodes, and then maybe I'll briefly touch on my idea now, because this kind of feels like the right forum for it.
Yeah,
so basically I used to do in 2020, I trialed a podcast with one of my mates, Alex, that was the Popped podcast, where we talked pop culture and different things, which a lot of people enjoyed it. And it didn't get a massive audience, but the people who liked it really liked it. And basically that podcast feed still exists, and I still pay for it every month, but we haven't put an episode up in literally a year. So I've basically paid for a year of a podcast feed that is just existing with nothing happening. So what I thought I'm going to do in 2022 in a more experimental kind of way is we're going to change that feed and rebrand it as the Lovable Nerd feed. And what's going to happen is, if you're already subscribed to that podcast, keep subscribing. But if you're not subscribed to it, go and search Lovable Nerd. Probably now it'll be up. And what that's going to be is, a good example is, you would have seen on this feed, Pat and I did a Spider-Man No Way Home spoiler review. And in future, something like that will probably live over on the Lovable Nerd feed. So it's going to be a separate feed that's not a regular podcast, but it's just going to be any kind of pop culture thing that I feel like talking about extensively that I couldn't talk about extensively on this pod, because this pod I feel like has developed, and it's more as I've been positioning it, a catch up, a hangout with me for an hour, maybe Pat's there, we hang out. There is pop culture chat on this, but more like comedy, like a comedic take on pop culture, and that's kind of what this is, and then a little bit about my life and what I've been doing work-wise and stuff like that. And I think personally, this podcast has hit a nice groove like that. Whereas I think I still want to do more pop culture analysis, and I do put those on YouTube, and I'll continue doing those on YouTube. But this is just a place where if say I do a YouTube video on hypothetical, the Squid Game season 2 next year, say that I do a YouTube video talking about that, and then also I'll rip the audio of that and chuck it as a podcast on the Lovable Nerd feed as well. So just to basically, sometimes I just want to talk about something at length but I don't have a place to do it. And I just thought, yeah, let's just use this feed. It'll be pretty experimental, but the Lovable Nerd feed will be a thing. I'll probably set it up so it's up now when you're listening to this. But yeah, and then like the same way as the No Way Home thing, like Pat will pop in. I'm sure if you're keen to discuss a Marvel movie or something.
More than happy.
Yeah, and then I might even try and get guests like, I've got Dave Lee who's been on a Mike Talks. He's really good with that. So if there's a new Pixar movie, maybe I can do a Lovable Nerd pod with Dave Lee. Or if there's a new Blink-182 album, maybe I get Luke Kitchell on and we talk. Stuff like that where it's just like, it doesn't quite fit 20th Century Boy, but I've been noticing there's something missing where I want to talk about something at length. Just quickly, I've always got my microphone set up to my computer, just start rolling and talk the same way we did with the Spider-Man thing. So that's going to be a big thing in 2022, as well as Harry Potter and the Boys Season 2 will be back. I will announce now, because I'm working till February full-time on the TV show I'm working on, I've spoken to Sammy Garlep and he's going to appear probably on the first 5 episodes of Season 2. Nice. Sammy and I love having Sammy on the show and he works really well with me. He's really good on the show. So I just spoke to him and said, hey, do you want to just come on the first 5 weeks so it's easier? I don't have to organize a guest. I've just locked you in and you're doing it. He said, yep. So if you like Sammy, good news there. He's going to be on Harry Potter and the Boys. We have recorded episode 1, chapter 1 of book 2, but it's going to launch sometime in January, so stay tuned for that. And any Harry Potter news stuff will go over on the Harry Potter and the Boys feed. What about you, Pat? Do you have any goals? Like, I know you're working with Jack Post, you're working with Ferg Neal, doing heaps of stuff. What goals do you have for 2022?
That's a good question. I guess to continue working with the current clients I have. Obviously, everyone I've been working with is growing, obviously we've done really good this year, you know what I mean? With the growth, TikTok's at 10K now, great into the year.
And I will say the show would not have grown in any sense if it weren't for what Pat's done. Pat has just skyrocketed where the show is. So that's been so awesome, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah. And so you just want to continue working, maybe pick up some new clients.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. New clients, whatnot. And but I definitely wouldn't have gotten here without the chance of you taking a chance on me. So like, bottom of my heart, man, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Like, to think of me, like, because not to be that guy, but like, I remember like listening to like, oh, Radio Mike, that's the dude who works on like Luke and Lewis, and then like, following you, seeing the shit that you'd post and whatnot, and then it's like, oh, he's finally having a podcast. I remember I met you for the first time at one of the live Spearhead Sundays podcasts.
That's Lewis Spears' podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met you. Yeah. And we took a photo together. We'll put it on the screen now for YouTube viewers.
Photo now.
And
wow,
we both look really different. We both look so different.
I'm like fatter and you're just like...
I'm a bit chubbier at that point, I think. I think I am.
Oh, look, you're allowed to say that.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit chubbier in that pic. Like, but no shame. You go in waves.
Yeah. Look, I think you got a double chin in that photo, so maybe that's it.
Yeah.
But nah, like to think that, like starting out just like, enjoying your content and your vibes and everything, your vibes, God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, and like to get to this now, like it's been great. And thank you, man, for like the opportunity and everything.
No,
like,
it's been awesome. Again, like I can't stress this enough, guys. Like it's been awesome just seeing you develop like professionally and career-wise, because, I think it's a testament to how good your work is that pretty much when people started seeing what you were doing for me, everyone, like Ferg came to me and was like, hey, who's doing your TikToks? Jack was like, who's doing your TikToks? And then, I just think if you're good at what you do, work comes to you. And I think you're a testament to that. So you've been awesome.
Thank you, man.
Wasn't taking a chance on you because I knew you would be good based on what I knew of you already. Also, Take a Chance on Me is a song by ABBA. Chiquitita was another. Chiquitita. There's lots of music-based things on
this show.
A lot
of music memes, but that's all right.
And then, I guess for me, in terms of like, I feel like I'd like to say to the listeners, and sorry about like, I'm going to do a little rant, but first thing,
we hate you. No, I'm kidding. That's my words.
We hate you. No, I like to the listeners. I want to actually say 2021, as much as there was lockdowns and like I went through 2 breakups with the same girl, which, it happens, but, there were definitely low points of the year, but definitely in 2021 for me, I feel like my self-development was like enormous. I actually think this is the most in my entire life. This is like the most consistently happy I've been in my life. Like every day I wake up and I'm so excited to just do my life, and I'm so excited to like be working on the projects I work on, to be working with the people I'm working with, like Pat and all the people that I like, because I'm the Pat for other people.
Yeah,
so like doing like working on Hamish and Andy, the Remembering project, which we did do in 2020, but like this year I felt like it was way better. That'll continue in 2022. We're recording the first few eps of that in Feb up in Sydney again, which is going to be awesome. And yeah, just like I feel like I spent so much of my late teens, early 20s being really lost and not knowing what to do, but seeing, I mean, and I wasn't happy. Like I just wasn't a happy person generally. Like my default was like being depressed, which sucks. And that's such a shit place to be in. But, you know, it just feels like this adventure, which started, you know, when I started community radio, I guess, with T-Money, you know, everything comes full circle.
You did community radio with T-Money?
Yeah, T-Money.
I had no idea.
T-Money and I did a community radio show together about The Simpsons, which you can
did The Yellow Family.
Yeah, that's T-Money.
Him?
That's T-Money.
Wow, that's funny.
That's like, oh my God, I want his autograph. Yeah. So that was me and T-Money in 2016 doing, like 5 years ago now, doing a community radio show at Sin FM. And then, you know, moved into Triple M, moved into Fox FM, met Luke and Lewis, started doing their show, which is, again, credit to them for giving me a platform on their show. They encouraged me to do this pod in the first place. Jack Post also encouraged me. Then H&A took me on board their show and have given me all these opportunities as well, which has, again, helped this pod. Like, lots of people on this show have said, hey, I heard you on Hamish and Andy and I came over, which is awesome. Will Anderson and Sam Kavanagh, who you won't know, but he's a behind-the-scenes person, thrown me heaps of opportunities as well. Will has been awesome to me. So all these people who have, I guess I have helped shape this career that I've got, helped me get the confidence to do this podcast. And if you listen to season 1, I think you'll hear a really different Mike to who you hear now. Like, I think there's a lot more confidence and just like assertiveness in me now. And that's just based on the development of me doing this pod over the years and me just becoming more comfortable with myself, which in turn is because of you guys, the listeners, supporting the nerdy shit I'm into and finding this show fun. And I think the fact that every time I put an episode out, there's like, you know, 20 people getting in touch or more, like there's hundreds of DMs come through or thousands throughout the year of just people being like, oh, this is funny. Someone the other day sent me a picture. Someone who's never messaged the show sent a picture of the Carrot Man. Do you remember the Carrot Man, which I talked about in like the start of the year? That was
a brief thing. Yeah, I remember. You're like, I want to interview the Carrot Man. Yeah. Quick Google, there's already like a Wikipedia about him.
Yeah, and then a girl like literally last week just said, hey, just saw the Carrot Man. And I was like, oh, I haven't talked about that in ages. But just the fact that people, you know, now people tag me in grilled stuff. People like there are now, there's a culture of this show.
Yeah, no, there's very much an influence with, or I guess we have an influence now. I don't know what the right
but like
phrasing is, but yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that people get around it. I love sometimes like I made the Hamish and Andy Power Moves book, right? And sometimes I one of my jobs for that was coordinating all of the illustrations and all of the listeners who had submitted them. So the listeners had to sign a form to allow them to have their thing in the book. And I emailed one girl being like, hey, just the standard template. Hey, we're going to include your power move. Can you please sign the form? And then the girl sent it back. And then she put, thanks, Mike. Don't block the MDF. And I was like, oh, yeah. So
that's so cool.
Just like finding listeners who I didn't know were there. And then like I was standing outside a Grilled once a few months ago and 2 people came up to me and be like, why are you outside Grilled? You hate Grilled. And I was like, oh shit. Like that stuff honestly is the thing that keeps me wanting to do this every week.
Yeah.
And just the little things that you don't think people are picking up on, that they are, like the Carrot Man thing, and just like someone sees the Carrot Man and then thinks of me. Like I think that's awesome. Again, you get it all out there by making the clips and people seeing what we're up to, even if they don't know the pod, they're hearing it and seeing it everywhere, which I think is good. And yeah, so to me, wrapping up the year in terms of learning, last year, at the end of the year, I talked about the thing that Hamish told me, which was being the man in the arena.
Yeah.
Which is a really cool thing. Go listen to that episode, the finale of last year. And I think this year I tried to be the man in the arena and just do stuff and just know that like you guys seem to always have my back with what I do and loving that. And like, I could not be thankful enough for all of you guys who listen, contribute, send me like stupid memes and stupid stuff that you think about the show, and all of that is so humbling to me. And like seeing this grow into a 2-man operation with Pat, and every week there's someone going, hey, been checking out your podcast, really like it, is so awesome to me. So yeah, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Again, the Patreon is always there if you do want to support us, but just listening is awesome to me. And I think we're just about done. Do you have any? You've said your thanks. You've done your bit, or do you?
The only thing I have to say is also fuck you. That's a throwback.
Don't block the MDF now, Pat. I'm going to do something a bit serious here that I haven't talked about. That
Okay.
I want to end the show. I've thought about this, and I know I do want to end the show with something more serious. So earlier in the year, I haven't talked about this on the pod. Earlier in this year, I actually a colleague from my work took his own life. And it was a really sad, horrible thing. He was an awesome dude. Haven't talked about it on the show, but he was an absolute legend. His name was Dave Z. He was always in the office. And you know, you just, when you're working in office, you see these people every day and you just like get glimpses of their life. Happiest guy, absolute legend. And I remember once, maybe the start of 2020, I was feeling really lost and I just saw Dave in the kitchen and I was like, hey, how have you been? He's like, yeah, good. How have you been? And I was like, oh, I'm not doing too well. And he was like, oh, why not? Like, you're doing great. I love your stuff. And he was just like such a friendly dude. And then honestly was so shocked. I found out that he took his life, which is a horrible thing. And I hate that he's gone because I loved seeing him and I feel so awful. And I wish he knew the hole that he's left in so many people's lives. So I want to, as a tribute to Dave, I am dedicating season 3 of this podcast to my friend Dave Z, who I miss seeing very much, and I'm really sad that he's gone. And so if you've listened to season 3 of this pod, if you've laughed, if you've enjoyed it, that's in memory of my friend Dave Z. I know like this might be a bit heavy for the pod, but I did want to do a tribute to him. And that conversation that I had with him in the kitchen where he encouraged me to continue, that I will never forget that conversation. So, I just wanted to do a tribute to my friend. So this season of the podcast is dedicated to Dave Z. Miss you very much. And yeah, thanks for listening to that. I appreciate it.
No, that was really nice to hear.
Yeah. And if you're struggling, like Lifeline 13, 11, 14, that is really important. Mental health is really important to me. Anxiety is really important to me. Well, managing anxiety is really important to me. It's okay to be not okay, and always feel free to reach out to people, because you like the hole that you leave on so many people, even if you don't know them too closely, is huge. So that's my tribute there. And I think that's where we're going to leave season 3 of the pod.
All right.
Pat, massive thank you to you for the year. Listeners, massive thank you to you for a year. We won't do the plug, but yeah, the Patreon, the YouTube, wherever you can support the show. My name's been Radio Mike.
My name's been Producer Pat.
And this has been the
Inside
inside of our every time we touch. I get this feeling, and every time we kiss,
I quit.
I
I'm
reach
quitting
for
right
the
now.
sky. Can't you hear my heart beat fast? I want the... See you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you next year. This podcast was a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to check out all our other content, stay up to date at radio.mike on Instagram, and get in touch, radiomikepod@gmail.com.